Howdy, folks. This is professional equine and rodeo announcer Joe Coalter coming to you from the studios of the Horseman's Corral magazine and your Horsin' Around Ohio right here on WQKT 104.5. You know, growing up watching the old westerns on television, and I think I might have watched this guy for 9 years, the entire 9 years that he was on. I had the honor of meeting him last year in an event here in the state of Ohio. He is coming back in 2014 to help out a couple of our veteran families here in the state of Ohio. On the television series, the man never had a name. He only went by the title of the series, and that was the Virginian. Joining me on the phone this morning in part one of our two-part interview is Mr. James Drury, the Virginian. Jim, thank you for joining us here on Horsin' Around Ohio.
My pleasure, Joe. It's such a great thrill to be talking to you, and I'm delighted to hear about all your accomplishments in Cowboy mounted shooting. And I want to talk about that. I think it's a great sport and something that is such a delight for young and old alike to watch, Joe.
But you know, you're going to be coming here March 28th through the 30th. Going to have a little bit of cowboy mounted shooting involved in that one too, but you're here for something even bigger than that, and that is the Cowboy Up for Vets.
Yes, the Cowboy Up for Vets is in its fourth year now. Started by Judy Schaefer in Swanton, Ohio. And Judy Schaefer is a horsewoman and wanted to find a way to mix a horse show up with a fundraiser for veterans' families because, as you know, Joe, there's so many veterans' families that are having a hard time. It looks like the rest of us, getting your mortgage paid, getting food on the table and keeping the car running. And they need help. We don't pay our armed services personnel enough money to make them secure. And these guys go over to deployments in Afghanistan and, of course, in Iraq in the last few years. And the folks at home just don't have enough money to make ends meet. So we're trying to help where we can. And last year, you guys came along and created so much excitement and the majesty of the horses riding down and shooting the balloons, which shows such great horsemanship and great marksmanship. Just a tremendous crowd pleaser, and young and old alike. As you look at that and just get so excited, it's wonderful. It makes people love horses and makes people understand and respect firearms. So you can't have a better combination than that, in my opinion.
And I like that. And you know, I read somewhere with you had made a statement, and you were talking about the cowboy lifestyle, and you were talking about the things that the Virginian, that represented integrity, courage, and you always knew that the people on the show were going to do the right thing.
Every Western ever made, every true traditional Western, is a morality play. It must show the triumph of good over evil. And our whole focus in a Western is to tell a dramatic story that shows that the good guys win in the end. It's a rather simplistic way to look at it. But the more interesting the villains are, and the more heinous their crimes and their machinations and their schemes, the more ingenious the cowboy heroes and others have to be in thwarting them. And what we had in our 90-minute show was this tremendous opportunity for our writers to write big, important, because we had a 90-minute format. We had the time to develop big, important guest star roles for men and women. And actors and actresses will walk barefoot over broken glass all day long to get to play the parts they want to play. So they read these scripts and they said, hey, I want to play that part. And they came and played them by the droves. We had George C. Scott and Colleen Dewhurst and Betty Davis and Joan Crawford and Robert Redford and Ralph Bellamy, and the list went on and on. And when I went down, I lived up in the hills. When I went down the hill to the studio every morning to go to work, I would think to myself, I'm going to be working with a wonderful talent today, and I have to bring my game up to there, and that's what made the show so good. It was just a unique situation because we had a 90-minute format, the one and only that anybody's ever had. Wagon Train tried it for a year and decided it was too tough, but we did it for 9 straight years. We would have 3 and 4 and 5 units shooting on the lot at the same time, shooting 5 different episodes of the Virginian. The character, of course, remained the same throughout. We had a certain number of points of view that we put together for the character, basically based on my grandfather, who taught me to put me on a horse when I was 3 years old and started me shooting a Winchester when I was 6. So we incorporated all that in and then had to make the appropriate responses to all the different stories and storylines and actors and actors that we had work. So it was a monumental undertaking, and I never had a bad day on the set. I'd still be playing if it was still running.
Yeah, it's awesome to do the things you love, and you touched on your grandfather. But I remember reading that your grandfather went west on one of the wagon trains to Oregon, I believe it was, back when he was like 16 years old. Is that right?
That's right. And what I always tell people I'm so proud of about him is that he was driving a 20-mule team in Missouri when he was 12 years old, scraping the tops off the hills so they could get to the coal veins, in the coal mining. And it was a terrible way to strip mining, terrible way to treat the countryside. But the fact that he could handle 20 mules when he was 12 years old gives you a kind of indication of the type of human being he was. I don't personally know of anybody in the country today who could drive 20 mules. Do you?
No, I don't. And that's a guy that you want to be careful when you shake hands with, I'll tell you that. Jim, you talked about some of the stars that you were with, and March 28th through the 30th in Swanton, Ohio at the WB Ranch, folks, and you know where that is. It's going to be Jim's 80th birthday in that area, so we're going to have an 80th birthday party, and you're going to be there for dinner, and we're going to have a steak fry and all that is. But you're not coming alone.
Oh, we got the whole cast coming, or everybody that's still alive and still viable is coming to the thing. We have a group of the cast that we get together as 2012 was our 50th anniversary of the show starting. It's 1962 to 2012, and we had several large reunions around the country. The most notable probably at the Gene Autry Museum in Los Angeles, and we get Gary Clark and Don Quine. We have Roberta Shore. We have Randy Boone. We have Diane Rutter and Sarah Lane.
Now let's get back to my interview with James Drury, and we're talking about a big event where he and the entire cast is coming to Ohio for the Cowboy Up for Vets. This is the real deal, folks. I mean, you want to get over here and meet a legend, in my mind, again, one of my heroes, but also going on is going to be the Black Swamp Bandits. Will be having cowboy mounted shooting all weekend long, including the Saturday, the big deal of the party.
And it's indoors, as I understand.
It is an indoor, and we should add heated arena, because even March 28th and 29th, we may still have snow here in Ohio, for all we know.
To be inside in the controlled atmosphere is going to be wonderful. And folks, if you've heard about cowboy shooting but never seen it, come out to this event, because you will see a bunch of men and women on horseback going flat out as fast as the old horse will run, and making turns that will give you back change from a dime, and shooting accurately at targets in all kinds of directions. And it's really an incredible display of horsemanship and marksmanship, and you need to come out and see it. It's exciting, and everybody is pleased by the performances. My foot's rocking right now because I'm anxious to get up there and see it myself. So please come out and see it.
Jim, you were inducted into the Hall of Great Western Performers at the National Cowboy and Western Heritage Museum out in Oklahoma City, in 1991 or something like that?
Yeah, it was quite a while back, but I'm very honored to be included in such a great Hall of Fame with all the great performers from Tom Mix on up, who worked to create the Western atmosphere. You must realize the profession of act involves creating the illusion of reality. The best actors and the best performers and the best performances are always performances where they are seamless. You cannot tell that the actor is acting. Anytime you look up on the screen and see an actor and can tell that they're acting, they got caught acting. Spencer Tracy said a long time ago, acting is a great profession if you don't get caught at it. Every time a reality show goes on the air, 75 actors do a lot of work, and that's something that I don't approve of. So I try to say that every chance I get.
When people go and they look at your biography, and you spent a reasonable amount of time doing with an author by the name of Shakespeare and performing those kind of things. And I remember you from some other movies and other shows that you did as special appearances. But for me and for many people, you will always be the Virginian. And to that end, you have quite the fan club now that follows you all around.
The Virginian Posse, yes, that's a great group of people, mostly ladies. I think there's over 1,100 of them now. And they show up everywhere, and they wear the T-shirts, and they're big supporters, and they're very, very helpful. They come and they assist my assistant, Karen Lindsay, from London, Ohio. She travels all over the world with me. And there's always several members of the posse there on call all the time to help her out. And they're just wonderful, wonderful ladies.
Your character never had a name on the show.
No, that was a device that Owen Wister used in 1902 when he published the novel. He never gave the Virginian a name and gave the character an aura of mystery and danger. Betty Davis once said that the most effective and best-loved movie stars in the world are those men and women who appear to be dangerous. Betty Davis was dangerous, and I'm dangerous. And Clark Gable was dangerous, and Gary Cooper was dangerous. So if you have an aura of danger about your character, it makes everything more interesting.
And we wonder why the Virginian posse is made up by mostly women. All right, now, all right, folks, now listen up. This is a good old dusty cowboy weekend at the WB Ranch and Arena. It's inside and heated. The show is to benefit 2 different military families chosen by the Naval Operational Support Center out of Toledo, Ohio. The dates are March 28th through the 30th with special guest James Drury, the Virginian, celebrating his 80th birthday with special cowboy steak fry, and the guests from the Virginian cast, Roberta Shore, Gary Clark, Randy Boone, Clu Gallagher, Diane Roeder, Sarah Lane, and Don Quine, all going to be there to join you. If you want more information on it, call Miss Judy Schaefer at 419-875-5146 or check them out on Facebook at Cowboy Up for Vets Horse Show. And James Drury, the Virginian, thank you so much for joining us here on Horsin Around Ohio.
My pleasure, Joe, and I'll look forward to seeing you up there.
And thank you for joining us here on Horsin Around Ohio, heard exclusively on WQKT 104.5. Until we meet again, this is Joe Coalter saying may God bless all the trails that you ride.